looking at, page 102, you wrote here, the New Testament describes the role of the Christian as that of the soldier, both standing his or her ground and using divine weapons to tear down the strongholds of evil. My question would be to you, do you think the soldier aspect of Christianity is missing today in most of our churches? And if so, what effect is this having upon America and other Christian nations of the world?
I think it's not only missing in the churches, I think it's missing in our culture. And there seems to be a trend to try and soften everything or feminize everything. And men still have to be men. We have a role in Scripture, and how many times does God tell Joshua, be very courageous, be very brave? There is tremendous evil in the world. In Romans, that's why we know the governments have the power of the sword. It's to try and combat that evil. We're supposed to prevent the spilling of innocent blood. So if you don't take your stand in culture, if you don't take your stand in church, those things are going to go by the wayside, and we're going to lose all of the things that our founding fathers took so much trouble to try and build. And they built all that in America based on all the experiences of Europe. The king in charge, the pope in charge, the Islam invasion of Europe, and the Catholic Church and the Islam are both the same thing. They take possession of you at birth, and you're theirs till the grave. And the founding fathers were looking for freedom, because you have to be free to make a choice of your own about Jesus Christ. So yeah, I think soldier, we've got to carry that banner high, and we've got to do everything we can to try and support that in our culture, so the youth don't continue to back away from this and think everything is just going to be okay, because it's not. We've been lulled into complacency by a lot of different things in culture.
Right. I couldn't agree more. I mean, the enemy, they look at this as a soldier would, that they're in a war.
Right.
But Christians look at this as just, being a Christian is just to love everybody, to be kind, and they limit it at that, and they don't think about, taking on the devil and defeating, evil in the culture and things like that. And that was one thing that caught my attention right away in the book, was things like this. I mean, coming from your experience in Vietnam, which we could maybe talk about here in a little bit, but reading things, when you read the Bible, it's all about war. It's good versus evil, right. And all the biblical characters are, in one way or the other, usually some kind of a warrior.
Right.
And that's, when I go to churches today, a majority of them that I visit, it's just so non-inspiring, because there's nothing really said about this war.
Right.
It's just a feel-good place that doesn't really have much substance to it.
Right. One of the unique perspectives on things to come, and I suppose I should really mention this, is I died while I was in Vietnam. I was resuscitated, of course, but I did have a life-after-death experience. But what that situation taught me is that we're both physical and spiritual beings. We live in a physical world that's a touch and feel 3D reality. But just as real is our spiritual realm, the realm of God and all his celestial beings. And if you're going to approach a problem and look at it from just the physical reality, you're not going to have the whole picture. You're not going to have the complete answer. Everything has to be looked at from the physical and spiritual, because we're physical and spiritual beings. We live in both these realities. And if we don't give as much attention to our spiritual acuity, I call it in the book, to be aware of that and sensitive to that, it's not going to be a part of our life. And once we are engaged in that, we understand we are in a spiritual warfare. It's going on all around us, and it involves us every day.
Both of Tom's books, Just War, A Soldier's Revelation, and Things to Come, A Brief History of the Bible, are available at Amazon.com, and you can also find a link to those in the video description below.